Familiar with the book review? Apologize for the video quality in this one. I'm not in my usual video recording place just because we had a big ice storm at the time I'm recording this. But I wanted to release this video. I have a list of things I want to talk about, and this one's been on the top of that list for a while. A book review about conscious coaching. Conscious coaching. So, conscious coaching, and obviously you can see the link there, but Conscious Coaching by Bartholomew Foster, Bartholomew Strength, limited liability company, according to Amazon. So, one of the best books on coaching I've ever read, and that's saying a lot. Not because my opinion is magical or anything, but just because I've read a lot of books on coaching. When you're in coaching, and those of you that are coaching, and this, I would say this book extends to any kind of coach. It's written primarily for the strength conditioning coach, which is a very unique and more niche type of book. But I would argue this book could be for any coach. Find value in this. But having been coaching for a long time as a weightlifting coach, strength conditioning, you feel pretty good about certain parts of your philosophy of training, sets and reps and sprinting. And if you're talking about strength conditioning, sprinting and conditioning and how you coordinate everything, concurrent training, and arguing over, all these different ideas, West Side barbell versus Olympic style weightlifting, blah, 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 blah. We got all these things in order, and that's great. And then, the video I'm going to put up shortly, about progressive overload, you realize, well, at the end of the day, it's just about progressive overload. How do we do that properly, based on the time that I have and the athletes that I have and so on. But the part of coaching that I realized how bad I am at is the sports psychology / coaching science. Like, how do you get an athlete to do what you want them to do? How do you get an athlete to have confidence? One of the hardest ones at times. How do you get an athlete to respond to your training, to have, like this book alludes to, the art and science of buy-in? How do you look at 2 different personalities or 10 different personalities and know what the right thing to do? And I'll give you just a very brief personal testimony about my own coaching or my own time as an athlete. I'm a perfectionist. I'm self-reflective. If I make a mistake, I know it before the coach does. I could tell you all the mistakes I made when I playing college football, right? And everything is filmed, every practice, every drill, every game. And before the video even went on for practice, I could tell you which drill I screwed up, or why my right hand wasn't where it should have been when, I was executing this move, or, I didn't get in the right position here. And I could tell the coach that before the coach even came into the room. I know what I needed to do. And so a coach that came in and just started yelling at me and peeling the paint, I didn't respond to that very well. And I didn't wilt. It did piss me off, but it was more of, this person is not teaching me anything, because I just communicated, I know what I did wrong. What I need is a coach that says, yeah, you screwed up. Okay. Let's work on not having it happen again. And then instill some confidence in that, in my case, an athlete, and move on. There are others though that were lethargic and could care less, who were great athletes, and they needed somebody to put the foot up the butt a little bit, right? They needed somebody to be a little bit more of that, hey, maybe peel the paint. Funny story. This is in college. The coach I had at the time could peel the paint with the best of them. He conjugated the F word. I don't know. I mean, he used the F word in ways I still have never heard before. I'm not an F word user myself. At least I try not to. I'm not perfect by any means, but the point was this. I mean, this coach could peel it, man. And I actually had somewhat respect for him because, well, let me get the backstory. He actually made one of my teammates cry during a meeting. This is in college, mind you, so that's pretty impressive. He made a defensive lineman in college cry because he peeled the paint so bad. That athlete had been, he was ridiculed for a long time, but we loved him, and he was fine. If you know anything about sports, you know that you're just a big family. That's why sports is one of the greatest family building, people building things around. It brings people from all different types of walks and all different types of cultures, and throws them all together in a team and says, okay, now you have a common goal, go win. And that does amazing things for people. But anyway, that's an aside. But this coach, he could peel the paint, but he, to his credit, he'd get pissed at me, but he was able to understand that he didn't need to do much in my case. He just needed to give me some things to work on, the mistakes I had made, and roll me back out there and let me play. Now, I was by no means a great player. I started a couple years in college and that, all that, nobody cares. But he at least understood that. He could peel the paint. He was a pretty intimidating guy, but he was a good enough coach to understand that different athletes have different personalities, and that's the whole point. And in my own coaching, this is the area I have been the weakest in by far, is because of my own perceptions of coaching. My own perceptions of coaching are my own perceptions of myself, that everybody wants to work hard. Nobody needs really to have their foot up their backside all the time. I can reason with people and they're just going to do it. They're going to be confident in themselves. I don't need to try and instill that. Like a sport like weightlifting, when it came to weightlifting, it was a little bit different for me. I was just like, just throw heavy bars over the head, reckless abandon, don't care, right? I'm just going to go every weight I can lift it. Just get out of the way. But those of you who've been coaching for a while, that is not, my first foray into strength conditioning, I realized very quickly that was not the case. And there was even some team culture, right? Some teams were more of that mindset. I can think of like women's softball, lift weights, get after it, and then women's soccer, because of the culture of the sport, really not embracing weight training, at least not then. There wasn't a lot. It doesn't mean there's not female soccer players that love to lift weights. I'm just saying that was a cultural thing that I had to realize. I'm trying to frame this book. Okay. And I struggled as a young coach trying to get the soccer players to train like the softball players. And so this is where this book comes in. It does a great job of talking about those challenges and how to address them. I would say the worth every penny part of this book is in the middle of the book. It has all these different personality types. And if you've been coaching for a long period of time, you can read this book and put names to every one of these personality types, like the hard-headed athlete that just thinks they know everything and is going to smash themselves against the rocks no matter what. No matter what you say, they're just going to do it their way, and they're just going to hurt. The only thing that's going to stop them is an injury, and then they'll blame you for it, right? I've had those athletes. You've had the athletes that have no confidence. How do you deal with them? I've found as a coach, I do better those athletes than the ones that smash themselves against the rocks. But this book provides not only a profile of each and every kind of personality that you probably will run into as a coach, but also how to deal with that personality, things to try, and then testimonials about coaches that have actually tried these things or what they've done with these athletes and the successes they've had, and maybe failures too. So I highly, highly recommend this book for anybody involved with coaching, and any sport. I think you'll find value in this. If you coach Little League, you might find some value in this book about trying to relate to individuals and how to get, like the book, again, first you buy-in, but how to deal with athletes. I'm still learning the lessons of this book. I found it incredibly useful, though. I highly recommend, just for that section, like I said, just for that section on personality profiling, and then, the dovetailing off of that, like, what do you do about it? That's, again, you read a lot of theory books that would say, well, here's all the different types of personalities you might encounter as a coach. That's kind of like watching a weightlifting video and say, well, they're doing the snatch wrong. It's like, well, anybody can see that, or at least anybody with any experience. The good coach, the one who's proficient and the one respect, is how do you, quote unquote, fix the problem, right? How do you address the problem? And it may not be, in the world of weightlifting, I call them spot coaches, right? The ones that come over and try to fix everybody's technique in 10 minutes because they've coached two athletes, or I found that it's interesting on the side note that the older, and I don't mean age necessarily, but older weightlifting coaches, this is just weightlifting, but it's in any sport, I think, they don't usually mess with athletes. They'll just say, oh yeah, come and train in my facility, or, oh, that's nice. Or they might even talk to the coach, like, hey coach, did you notice that, so-and-so is not doing this? Oh, I never noticed that. But the young, inexperienced coach will come over, and try to prove themselves, right? Well, I know all these things, and let me fix this athlete, and I'm going to fix them in 10 minutes. If you just do this drill, all your dreams will come true, and unicorns will come flying out of the platform, and it would be the greatest of your life, and you'll probably go to the Olympic Games. We know that that's not the case. It takes time to change things. And it's the same thing when it comes to, the coaching science and how you deal with individuals. Don't expect this book, though, to just, oh, I got this. And you go try something, you're like, oh, it didn't work. This book sucks. That's not how this works. It's the same thing of like, okay, well, I want to squat 500 pounds. And you're like, okay, yesterday I lifted and I did 250 for a double, so I'm ready. And so now I'm going to crawl into that 500-pound bar and snap my spine in half and be like, well, this squatting stuff, it doesn't work. I didn't get strong at all. How did I not squat 500 pounds? It's the same thing when you're dealing with people and their personalities. Is you have to understand that it's going to take time, and how some of the buy-in that occurs is just by simply continuing to be there. I could relay some really interesting stories from an old NBA strength conditioning coach about relating to athletes that were not even, that were far removed culturally, right? One culture to another. But what tore down the walls over time was just being there and continuing to be there. And over time, getting buy-in and getting the trust of the athlete, and them realizing that you're just trying to help them. And over time, developing a great relationship, and one that's productive for both. But that takes time. And if you've been in coaching and you've been successful, you know that is the case. It just takes time. Okay. So when you see these techniques, don't think that they're a spot coach type of thing. It's more of a long-term investment when it comes to embracing these techniques. But I will tell you that if you think about even a few of these inroads for certain athletes, they can start to pay off in the long run. Okay, that's the long enough video. I will catch you guys in the next video, and look for some more book reviews as well as paper reviews, so research article reviews. Be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Put up videos all the time. It was a little disrupted this week, but put up videos all the time in the exercise, sports science, nutrition science field, and coaching science. And also, talking about some peripheral things related to interpreting data and so forth. If you like this video, like it, and hit the like button. I mean, if you like it, you can internalize, right? You can internalize and like it, but if you also hit the like button, that'd be awesome. And feel free to share this video if you want to, and leave a comment if you have any questions. See you in the next one.